Voiceover Coffee Shop, Episode 11.
Welcome to the Voiceover Coffee Shop, where we share our morning with some of the finest names in voiceover. And now, here's your host, voice actor Andrew Morrison.
Hi there, my name is Andrew Morrison, and welcome to the Voiceover Coffee Shop, where we start our day with some of the finest names in voiceover. If you'd like to know more about me, feel free to visit my personal website at www.voicebard.com. In this episode, we have coffee with my dear friend Emma O'Neill. Emma O'Neill is a Canadian-Irish rock star, 2020 SOVAS Award winner, Telly Award winner, and One Voice Award nominee, who has lent her voice to Discovery Channel, the United Nations, Mercedes-Benz, and CBC, to name just a few. In this episode, we talk about connecting to a script emotionally, agent audition handling, and the immense beauty of the wonderfully supportive voiceover community. Emma, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am. So how do you take your coffee, Emma?
Right now I'm having herbal tea, and I swear to God, it tastes like fuzzy peach. It's so good. Oh my God.
So you started acting at 2 years old, correct?
Yeah, around there. Maybe it was younger. I don't know. But yes, I was kind of thrown into television at that age by my mother because I, had big blue eyes and ridiculous blonde curls. And she was like, let's make some money off this kid.
Right. So at what point from that Super Mac commercial till college did you decide that you wanted to pursue voice acting full time? Or acting full time, rather?
Yeah, voice acting didn't come into the equation for a lot of years. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Right.
But from my earliest memories, I have been an actor. I was always in acting schools and drama classes and all of those things. And then I went to York in Toronto, York University. I was in the acting program there. And it was actually from York that I left acting.
Okay.
So I'm accepted into this, academy program. And it's, very they only take, I think my first year, second year is the year that you stream. So that was the year that they took 13 of us or 12 of us into the program. So you auditioned to get in, and then in third year, there was only 8 of us. And it was typical drama school, like, let's destroy you. Let's stomp all over your soul and make sure you hate it. So I just didn't want to participate in that kind of world anymore. And I left. I finished university. I finished with an honors degree. And my last 2 years, I studied kinesiology, so health science. And I ended up teaching yoga, which I still do. So it's like, my degree in Bachelor of Fine Arts with special interest in kinesiology led me to teaching yoga around the world. And it was actually from yoga that I came back into acting, specifically voice acting.
Okay, so how did yoga tie into voice acting?
I had been living overseas for about 10 years. I had been living kind of out of a backpack, traveling through India and Southeast Asia. I lived in Australia for a few years and ended up on Maui for about a year. And then I ended up in Taiwan for 4. And when I came back from Taiwan after 4 years, when, life brought me back to Canada, I was teaching yoga, and I had a client who was an insomniac. He could not sleep. So I decided to do what's called a yoga nidra. It's just talking someone into a state of relaxation by asking them to relax all of their body parts bit by bit. And he asked me to record myself doing this because it was the only time that he actually slept. So I did. And then from that recording, the person that I was dating at the time suggested that I take voice acting classes. And I was like, don't be ridiculous. But so for Christmas, I got, my first microphone and was signed up for a voice acting class. And I went, and that was it. I fell head over tea kettle and was like, oh my God, like I can do this thing that I've loved my entire life, but in a really different way.
Right.
So yeah, it was kind of, I got behind the mic, and that was that.
So what were some of the techniques that you learned when you were in school for acting that kind of fell over into your voiceover world? Like what were some of the strongest ones that just resonated the most that you still just think back to?
The funnier part, one of the reasons I left York, and I felt that, they weren't supportive in any way. And of course, hindsight is 2020. One of the things that they had me focus on was the dramatic, not the dramatic, like, "Ah," but the dark side of my personality. And
Okay.
I wanted to do comedy. Like, I was like, come on, let me be the funny person. Comedy's fun. And they were like, no, like you need to pay attention and focus on tapping into emotion. You need to, explore the side of yourself that you don't want to look at. So they were constantly casting me in roles of that I was a rape victim, or I was a murderer, or I was, an FBI agent, or, that it was roles I never would have looked at. I always looked at the light and fluffy and fun because I love to make people laugh.
Right.
And interestingly enough, now in my career, the things that I connect the most with, it's not necessarily the dark and twisty, but it's those spots, those pieces where you really need to connect emotionally. So I excel in PSA, and in PSA in the sense of if the audience, if the client needs the audience to feel like really be touched by this, if it's an animal welfare or UNHCR or UNICEF or anything like that, they're the things that I actually book the most because I connect with the copy of these poor kids, these poor animals, this thing like this, it's heart-wrenching. And so interestingly enough, I ended up connecting with the more emotional side of things.
So what do you do to tap into that on the spot? Because I mean, auditions can come in at any moment. So
I use a lot of different stuff. I've coached with a lot of different people, and I do a lot of stuff. One of the things that I do is a talk in. I kind of talk myself into it. But for example, with UNHCR, so that's the United Nations,
Mhm.
and it's usually about children. So I talk to the child. One of the kids in one of the ones I did, her name was Anna. So I talked to Anna. I just talked to her. I was like, just record. I'll give you a gap, and we go. And that's how I would connect with it. So it's who, what, where, right? So it's
Right.
who are you talking to? What are you saying? Why are you saying it? But instead of doing that okay, now I have my notepad. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to Anna. Why am I saying this? It happens quickly. So it's copy that I connect with it quickly because I'm able to do it fast.
Mhm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. So when you're marketing the value of that, how do you portray that and negotiate that with a potential client where you're presenting, hey, here's the emotion and resonance that I can put into your copy? How do you put worth on that when you're, say, cold emailing someone?
I don't know if I can answer that. Just because I don't know if I use it as leverage for negotiation. If I'm pitching to someone who is, they're looking for a voice who is able to, make the people feel something and donate money. I just I use my previous experience. It's like, if this is what you need, I can get this. Here are examples of what I've done in the past. But I don't know if I'd necessarily leverage it in an email in that way.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, no. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you have about 5 different agents now, right?
No, I think I have about 12 or 13. But
Oh.
yeah. um, but I'm actually fine tuning that. I'm kind of whittling it down. I think initially my intention when I started to submit to multiple agents
Mhm.
was it was like a throw it out there and see what'll come back.
Right.
And so, and then all of a sudden I got signed to a bunch of agencies, and I think 2019 I got signed to quite a few rosters, which is, it's wonderful, but then it starts to get to a point where you're saturating yourself, that you're getting a lot of the same audition from multiple agents. So you're having to choose, are you submitting it to the first person that sent it to you, or are you submitting it to the first person you signed with? And I tend to, my rule of thumb is whoever got it to me first is the person that I submit to.
Right.
It's also, whoever's the most transparent. So with details.
Gotcha.
So the more information I can get about a piece that I don't have to go back and forth with, well, can I have a little bit more information? It's like, here's all the information. There you go. Go. Fantastic. Thank you. And yeah, it's usually the first person that I receive it from is the person that I submit it to.
Okay. So how were you marketing yourself pre-agent?
That was just a lot of word of mouth. As I said, I coach with a bunch of different people, and one of my coaches here in Toronto, who I've coached with on and off for the last 10, 12 years, however long I've done this, is Ellie Ray. And she's a wonderful human, and she would try to connect you with people. And also my mentor, one of my dear friends, Mark Neely, has also been a massive advocate in my career. And he has connected me with production houses and clients over the years.
Mhm.
So pre-agent, I've had a Canadian agent for much longer than I've had US agents, as being in Canada. But yeah, pre that, it was a lot of word of mouth. I did a lot of just kind of message on hold, stuff like that. So it was part-time. It was definitely not full-time. I would get jobs through workshops.
Mhm.
So workshops I would go to, because you're meeting producers, you're meeting directors. And it's like, send me an email so I have you on file, and then you get the email back, hey, submit an audition for this. So it was only after I signed with my first Canadian agent that things kicked up like 400% for me. The people I coach with now are, I tend to pay attention, or I spend more time coaching with casting directors, people who work in the industry. They are working, they're working today, they're working live, they know what's going on, they've got their, they've got their thumb on the pulse of what's going on, because things change so fast in this business that you have to pay attention to what's going on, like what's trending, what is, is it the announcer? Are we back in the time of the announcer? Or is it the really super casual commercial voice where you just want to be, literally, it sounds like you're talking to someone having coffee. Nothing's, your pronunciation is not careful. It's just normal speak. So they're the people that I coach with. I coach with people who are current. And prior to 2015, I was coaching with who was available. And I coached with Mike Kirby. I don't know if he's still around in Toronto. I coached with Tracy Hoyt. Tracy's still around. She still coaches, and she's still a commercial actor, voiceover actor here in Toronto. So yeah, I've always had an appreciation for coaching, an appreciation for working with, the cream of the crop, or the people that are worth their salt.
Right.
Like they've put their time in, and that they're good, and then you get into a session with them and they blow your brains out in the first 15 minutes. You're like, that was amazing. The stuff that they're able to get you to understand or comprehend about copy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So in your since 2012, when you first started in VO, to now, what have been some of your biggest resources and kind of propelling your career from new VO to SOVAS Award winner? Like what do you believe those resources were that kind of like pushed you along the way?
Community. The voiceover community is insane. It's insane. You know, I've been doing this since 2012, 2011, and I just kind of, you know, plodded along for an extended period of time. And I just, you know, I made enough money to be able to pay my bills, and I was content with that. And I didn't know that there was this other world of stuff. And then, of course, Mark, because Mark is Mark. Mark is the guy who always, you know, ends up connecting with me with people who make a big impact in my life. He had done a workshop with a gentleman named Eric Romanowski, and Eric is a demo producer. And Mark called me after doing this workshop, and he's like, "You need to get in touch with this guy. You need to get in touch with this guy, and you need to talk to this guy." So I looked him up, and I was looking to do a new commercial demo, so I contacted him and just immediately connected. I was like, this guy is great. Like he really takes the time to get to know the people that he's working with, so that when he's presenting copy for your demo, it's about the spots are spots that you would have an interest in voicing. So your own personality is coming out. So you're showing your range through your own personality in your demo. And he's really easy to work with, and he's really, really fun. So we do this demo. It's fantastic, wonderful. I'm completely in love with it. I drive him completely mental, nitpicking on every little piece and bit and order and switch around. And, you know, and then finally released it. And up at that point, I had started to pay more attention to LinkedIn, and I had started to interact with people on LinkedIn. And up until that point, I really hadn't. I'd had a LinkedIn profile for a decade and hadn't really done anything with it. And I just started to interact with people on LinkedIn, and then I posted this demo, and this demo got a ridiculous amount of attention. And then I heard about VO Atlanta. I had never been to a conference. I didn't know it was a thing. Like, I literally lived inside a padded cell, and I didn't talk to people. I just talked into the microphone. I did my auditions, and I did my jobs, and that was it. I didn't know there were people outside of this box that did this too.
Right.
And I talked to Eric, and he was like, "Oh, you have to go to VO Atlanta." I was like, "Oh, no, that's too scary. There's too many people. I can't do that." He's like, "Don't worry, I got you. Book your ticket. We'll hang out." So I arrived in Atlanta, scared crapless, because it was all these people that I didn't know. And the first person I saw was Eric. And, you know, he just kind of made me feel safe. Like there was somebody there that I knew. And then it's like, there was people there that I knew, but there was a bunch of people I'd never actually met in person. I was just connected with them online. But long story short, the community of voiceover has been the biggest, has made the biggest impact on my career. Because when you feel the love and you feel the support in this community, like, you feel like Superwoman. You feel like you can do anything. Like, I don't think I've ever been in a position as a VO where I felt belittled or lessened by another person in this community. I've always felt uplifted. And so what I try to do on a daily basis is uplift other people. Like, provide a platform, you know, if you have a question, I'm available. If I can help you in some way. Sometimes I can't respond immediately. Sometimes, you know, it gets lost in the muck because there's days where I'm busy and I forget to pee. But, you know, I do try to pay it forward, because I've been helped by so many people along the way that I do try to pay it forward in whatever way I can.
So what are those questions that you do get asked often in the VO community?
Well, not necessarily in the VO community, but people who want to break into or want to understand what voiceover is. There's always, you know, like, I want to be a voice actor. How do I be a voice actor? You know, I've been told that I've got a great voice, so should I do this thing? And I think that if this is what you want to do, then fantastic, do it. But my first question usually is, do you have any acting experience? Right? Do you have singing background? Do you have a spoken word background? Or are you a public speaker? Do you have that kind of, that you can speak to people and you use language regularly as a means to an end. So there's a lot of that. So I have kind of a thing that I send out to people. So it's like, where are you based? Are you in Canada? Here's the information for Canada. You're in the US. Here's the information for the US. And it's a kind of a listing of coaches that I think are fantastic. Demo production or demo producers that I think are fantastic. Improv classes, acting classes, stuff like that. But it's usually a lot of, how do I get into voice acting? And then there's people who will ask about how to get an agent, which there's no magic number on that one. That's
right. It's all about marketability and, hey, do we have you? Can we use another one of you? Are you right?
Are you booking already? And it's what that catch-22 of I'm not booking because I don't have an agent, and I can't get an agent because I'm not booking. So it's a lot of it's timing.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you could go back if you could just time travel and write a letter to pre-VOU, what would that letter say?
You have a very, very promising career ahead of you. Don't listen to anybody who tells you that you can't, or that this isn't a real job, or that it's not attainable. To listen to your gut and to listen to your heart, because, as I said, I've been an actor my whole life. I think I was born acting, and it's my passion. I absolutely love what I do, and I'm so grateful every day that I get to walk into this padded cell and talk to myself. It's just, it's the best job in the world, and so if I was to, to my younger self, keep going. Go in the direction that you want to go in. Don't pay attention to the naysayers or any of those people. Do what it is that makes your heart sing, and you will go far.
Well, thank you so much, Emma. You are the greatest.
My pleasure. Anytime. Thank you. You're lovely.
Thank you. All right. I think I need that resource list.
No problem.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Emma emphasize the importance of understanding who you are talking to, what you are saying, and why you are saying what you do in a script to further portray your emotions in the copy. If you'd like to find out more about her, you can find her demos, works, and booking information at emmaoneilvo.com. Her wife, Elaine, is also a very talented vocalist, and I would strongly suggest that you check her out too at www.elainehart.com. If you do, you're really in for a treat. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the VoiceOver Coffee Shop. For more information on guests, new episodes, and more, be sure to visit www.vocoffeeshop.com.